Best bites forever.
Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Chef Alicia, and in this video you'll learn to make this lemon pepper potato salad. I'm starting off here with 1.5 pounds of bacon, and I'm not actually going to use all of this bacon, but I do want to render the fat from it because I am going to be using the bacon fat. So I'm going to use about half of the bacon in the recipe, and the other half I'm just going to put to the side and save for something else. So when my bacon gets to this stage, it's kind of partially cooked, I'm going to remove it from the pan, put it over to the side, and go for what I wanted here, which is this beautiful liquid gold bacon grease. Yes, I'm going to go ahead and put that into a bowl. I want to wash my pan because I'm going to be using the same one over and over throughout this recipe. Of course, you can use multiple pans if you'd like. Moving right along, I have a beautiful sprig of rosemary, and I'm just going to pull backwards on the stem to remove the leaves. Then I want to put the leaves into a nice little neat pile, and I am going to mince this rosemary up. I need to have about a tablespoon of rosemary for this, and I'm just going to set it to the side while I chop up my onion. I am using one large yellow onion, but you could also use a white onion or a brown onion if you want to. Go ahead and dice that up and put it over to the side. Here I am back with my bacon fat, and I'm going to add 3 tablespoons into my freshly cleaned pan. Then I'm going to add those onions that we just diced up along with the rosemary that we had put over to the side. Then I want to give this a nice little stir and kind of get it coated in the fat before I add in a little bit of salt. I'm adding probably a 1/2 to 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and then a 1/2 of a teaspoon of freshly ground pepper. I don't want to put in too much salt because that bacon fat is already salty. So these are the potatoes that I'm using. I'm using these baby creamers, and they generally come pre-washed. They have a really thin skin, and they come in 3 sizes. They come in a 1 bite, a 2 bite, and a 3 bite size. So I am using the 2 bite size. They come in a 28-ounce package, and I am just cutting them each in half. And as you can see, it does have this really thin skin, and they are about the size of a ping pong ball. I'm going to check on my onions, which are perfect, so I'm going to remove them from the pan, wash my pan again. Like I said, I'm using this pan over and over, and then I'm going to add some fresh bacon fat into my pan, and my potatoes are going to go in there. You could definitely do these in the oven if you wanted to. You would just put the bacon fat down onto your sheet pan and roast them at 425 until they get some nice color on them. I have chose to do them in my pan because 1, I don't want to heat my kitchen up, and number 2, because I really wanted to crisp the outside up in that bacon fat. So I have a good amount of the fat here in my pan, and I'm just kind of checking them for color. I'm also going to do these in small batches so that they are not steaming each other, but they are actually sauteing in the hot fat. Moving right along, I'm going to start making my dressing. So for that, I'm going to need to zest 1 lemon. I'm going to get all of that zest off of the lemon, and then I just want to kind of mince it small so that nobody is getting a really long piece of the zest in their bite. I also want a little bit of the juice from my lemon, let's say about 2 teaspoons of lemon juice, so half of this one is going to do because it is super juicy. I'm also going to take that little seed out there because why would I leave it in there? Okay. My potatoes are finished here, and I'm kind of going back and forth, like I'm putting in small batches like I already said, so I'm going to remove these and put more in, and I'm going to move on to my tomatoes. These are oven-dried tomatoes, and I did make them myself, but of course you can buy them at the store if you'd like to. I want to use about a cup, and I'm just going to cut them up. If you buy these store-bought, make sure that you remove most of the oil from the tomatoes. Here I have my other half of my bacon, and again working in small batches because I want this to get crisped up. I don't want it to steam, so I'm going to go ahead and cook up my bacon, put it to the side, and then here I have some asparagus which I'm trimming the ends off of. I'm also obviously going to wash it and chop it into smaller pieces. The asparagus is going to go straight into my pan that the potatoes were just now in, and I do have this on a medium-high heat. I want to kind of sear the outside of them, and I want to keep them, nice and tender. So when they turn a nice bright green color, I know that they are done, and I'm going to remove them from the pan and just allow them to cool before they go into my potato salad. So back over here to my bacon, I'm just kind of checking on it. This is finished. I'm going to let it cool. I also want to salt my potatoes, which I had removed from the heat, and then we are going to finish up making the dressing. So in this bowl, I have somewhere between 3/4 of a cup and maybe a cup of mayonnaise. I also added in some red wine vinegar, about 2 tablespoons, and then I have that lemon zest and the lemon juice, which I'm going to add in, and it was about 2 teaspoons of lemon juice-ish. I'm also adding in a couple of teaspoons of Dijon mustard. I'm also going to add in about a teaspoon of kosher salt and a teaspoon of pepper. I would add in even a little bit more pepper if my kids weren't eating this, because I like it really, really peppery, but they kind of complain if it gets too hot. So you can definitely up the pepper, maybe go ahead and add the dressing in and then make a decision about that. So all of these ingredients are going into the bowl and everything is cooled. So you can see that I've added my bacon, my onions, my tomatoes, asparagus, and potatoes in here. And actually, it's really, really beautiful just as it is. And you could totally serve it this way if you wanted to. You might want to add a little bit of some kind of acid just to, kind of counterbalance the fat of the bacon. But I would suggest if you wanted to do it that way, maybe a balsamic, you could do more red wine vinegar in there, you could do a vinaigrette. But I'm going to go ahead and use the dressing that we just made because I want mine to be a lemon pepper potato salad. So I'm only adding in half of it at a time because I want to, kind of taste it and make sure that it's where I want as far as creaminess. Once you put it in there, you can't take it out. So, keep that in mind and just add a little bit of a time and stir it up and kind of taste it and see where it is. And if you're happy with it, leave it. And if you want more, obviously add more. So I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to put it into the refrigerator for an hour, maybe 2 hours, to let the flavors do their thing. And then it's going to be ready to serve. And this is what it's going to look like.
bestbitesforever.com